All right. And I think we are just about live. What is going on, everybody? We are doing... It always takes me a second to make sure that I am, in fact, live. And I am. What's going on, chat? We are going to do another live stream movie review. This time, of course, talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. I am Scott. I hope all of you wonderful nerds are ready to talk about stuff. Let me make sure that the chat is working. It is frozen for me, so I just want to reload the page real fast. So already, what's going on? All right, now I see everybody's comments. We got a bunch of people here already. Very exciting stuff. Okay, so... a couple things I want to talk about really quickly before we get into it. Obviously, many of you guys have noticed the like-dislike ratio of this video. It's kind of already controversial, and I haven't even given my opinions about the movie yet. So stick around. If you think I'm going to hate on the movie, I'm not. Sometimes things can be fine, and it means that I don't hate them. It means that I like them, but I'm not in love with them. So we'll talk more about that as we go forward. Another thing, really exciting last minute thing that I totally forgot about and I wasn't expecting to include right here, is I have a giant package. Let me see if I can actually get it. Someone take that last line out of context. I have a giant box from Lego. Actually, let me get this picture out of the way here for you. Look at this. I have a giant box of goodies from Lego all about Spider-Man Homecoming. They sent it to me, and they want me to give it away, to give a couple of these sets away to you guys. So make sure you stick around. We'll be talking about some details about that at the end of this stream. But for now, let's get in to some Spider-Man Homecoming goodness. What's going on, gang? So, as the kind of strategy that we did a couple times ago with Wonder Woman, I think, we are going to go into a no spoilers section first, which is just kind of my brief thoughts about the movie. A lot of you guys are liking the Lego idea. Awesome. Very excited for that. And then we are going to move into the spoilers section a little bit later, a couple minutes in, and I want to have these things on the screen that you can see right now as indicators, just in case. All right? So right now we are in the no spoilers. I'm going to try my best to go and talk about this movie without spoiling too much. So, first and foremost, as the title says, as the description says, as I tweeted out the first day when I went to go see it, this movie's good. It has a lot of good moments. I like this movie. It's fine. It's a pretty average Marvel movie. It doesn't do a ton, in my opinion, that's like groundbreaking, earth-shatteringly cool and super different. It's very Marvel. It's a very Marvel film. And honestly, that kind of plays into its strengths. Marvel has a formula that they know what they're doing. They know how to make a movie that it's the word I would use is safe. It's a very safe movie. There's not a whole lot of risks being taken with this movie. And you know what? Honestly, I can't really blame them for that. It's the same thing we kind of said about Wonder Woman too, is that at this point, Marvel, like especially the Spider-Man franchise, right, has had a lot of bad times, right? So I think Marvel really wanted to play it safe at this movie, and they said, let's just make a very almost cookie cutter sort of Marvel movie. So I'm reading the chat now. Intermittently, I'll just glance over at the chat to see what you guys are talking about. But yes. So, awesome. We got some notification squad of people here. I really enjoy that. What is Scott talking about? I'm talking about Spider-Man Homecoming, guys. That's what we're talking about. And we are just my initial thoughts. Obviously, people thought that just based off the title, the thumbnail, people thought that I was hating on this movie, that I absolutely hate this movie. Because on the internet, of course, you can only have two types of opinions. You either love something unconditionally or you hate something unconditionally. There is no middle ground. Well, unfortunately, I have found the middle ground, and I think this movie is fine. It's a good movie. Is it the best movie I've ever seen? No. Is it the best Marvel movie? I still say no. That's my personal opinion. I still think a couple of the Captain America movies, top notch. But is this my favorite Spider-Man movie? That's a question that I've gotten a lot. I would say potentially, but it's really close to Spider-Man 2. And the fact that I don't think Spider-Man 2 is a perfect Spider-Man movie, but it's the best one previously that we had gotten, in my opinion, again. And I think it has a lot of flaws. And I think this movie has a lot of flaws. And we'll get into those more into like a spoilery section a little bit. I think they're almost kind of tied. I'd have to watch this movie again. So, yeah, I think I need to watch it again a second time to really figure out where it stands in my ranking of Spider-Man movies. But is it the best? I would say unequivocally, I didn't leave the theater going, this is the best. So I think initial impressions, I'm going to say no, but it's not terrible. It's definitely better than the Andrew Garfield movies, for sure. Which I didn't super hate those either, but I don't know. Let's go back in time a little bit and give some applause and some emojis, action and love to Getting Artsy with a Lobster for the $5 super chat. They say, I just saw both of them this weekend, and this year is pretty solid for comic book movies. I agree. Wonder Woman and Spider-Man, Logan. God, so many great comic book movies are out this year. And this one, again, I don't hate it. I don't think it's, the greatest. I think it's fine. I think it's good. But Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. So let's dive into that. Let's talk about Tom Holland's portrayal as Spider-Man. Amazing. Like, honestly, he was fantastic as Spider-Man. The problems I had with this movie had nothing to do with the acting or the casting. Everyone was awesome. Of course, we had Robert Downey Jr. doing his whole bit as Iron Man, which is just, so much. It's still so much fun to watch to this day. Happy even had some really great comedic moments. He was a character that got a little bit more fleshed out in this movie, which I found really awesome and really welcoming. And of course, we had Tom Holland, who just encapsulated Peter Parker so good as the character. We had all the other characters as well. We had we can't forget about Michael Keaton as Vulture. Holy cow, that performance. This is by far, and again, this is the movie's strength is the acting and the casting, I think. His performance as Vulture is awesome. It is one of the few times that the MCU has made an interesting villain. There have been a couple interesting villains. Of course, we have Loki, I think, has been a really interesting one. Even what are the I'm blanking on a whole bunch of their names. Basically just Loki. Oh, Ego from Guardians too. I thought he was a really cool kind of antagonist. And this was another one. So already, this year, Marvel's been trying to course correct on their villains, and they introduced a character who wasn't just like villain, right? He was a character that was actually entertaining to watch. And I felt like he could have had his own solo movie. He would have been awesome. Malekith? Do you really think Malekith is a good example of an interesting Marvel villain? All right. Fair enough. Zemo is pretty good. Zola is interesting. I really do enjoy Zola a lot, especially in Winter Soldier, which is my favorite, still to this day, my favorite MCU movie. Notice me, Scott. I'm noticing all of you guys. I have a big head. Actually, it's my head is small in comparison to the rest of my body. The camera makes it look, I guess, big, but full on shots, I got a tiny. It's like someone used the pinch effect in Photoshop and just like squished it down. Kilgrave, yeah, I mean, oh man, of course the Netflix shows have had some amazing villains in there. Fisk and Kilgrave, so good. Of course we have to talk about. We'll talk about some more of this spoiler stuff in a bit, but yeah, you get my point. Marvel, in terms of the movies, in terms of the movie specific stuff, not the TV show stuff, they're doing pretty good. But the movie stuff, they kind of haven't had that many super notable villains. The villains have just kind of been there as something for the heroes to punch. But Vulture, Michael Keaton Vulture, so good. I would say it's almost worth seeing the movie just for him, because he is, God, he's so good. He has not lost it at all. So good. So we'll briefly touch on, without going into spoilers, a couple points of the movie that I thought were a bit weaker. there were parts of this movie that I felt like didn't belong in this movie. Not that they like thematically felt out of place, but just that there are moments that felt very Spider-Man, and I would see them in a cartoon or a comic book or something like that. But in this movie, it felt like there was a lot going on. There were a lot of different, set pieces and things, and I felt like they could have done with like maybe one fewer set piece, one fewer kind of scene. The action in this movie was okay. It's not the best action I think we've gotten from a Spider-Man movie. It's definitely not the best action that we've gotten from the MCU thus far. And they were also a little bit shorter than I would like them to be. And maybe this was, I'll admit, I was tired when I saw this movie, so maybe it was just my mindset. Again, I need to watch it again before I have final conclusions on stuff. But I think some of the action scenes were a little bit hard to follow, especially the final one that involved, a sky battle, which is a little bit a sky battle with like an invisible plane. Wonder Woman didn't even have an invisible plane, but Spider-Man did. Anyway, so there was a lot. There was a bit. Some of the cutting and the editing was a bit hard to follow for me, but. Thanks for streaming. You waited 3 hours. Awesome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a mod, fake nerd scout, taking care of everyone. I appreciate it. I'm definitely right about the action. Thank you. I'm glad that that's not just me. What about the end credits? We'll talk about a lot of that spoiler stuff in a bit, but I will say the end credits, like the very end credits, the post credits, was hilarious. It was really, really funny, especially because I went and the theater I watched it at, the people who worked there came out and made this special announcement. And they were like, we want everyone to know, please, obviously you guys know all this about Marvel movies, but please stick around to the end because we all had a big laugh at the end of it, and we hope you will too, and we think you will. So they kind of built it up to be like this big thing. I don't even think they said a big laugh. I think they just said it was like this big, like the best thing, the best post-credits scene. And I was like, oh man, what are we going to get? And of course it ended up being totally worth the wait. So good. Other great parts about this movie, I felt like all of the side characters were really cool. All of the students, all the other, high school students, that whole gang of kids, really entertaining to watch. Like the dialogue and the chemistry between everyone is a lot of fun. And there were a lot of good Easter eggs, a ton of really, really cool Easter eggs that might be either hinting at some stuff to come up, but maybe, could just be thrown in there to say, look, we get it. We're at least acknowledging that this character or this thing exists in the universe. Flash was bad. Yeah, you know what? I kind of agree with that. I understand that they were trying to make him, obviously his character he's kind of the bully, he's kind of the jerk, he's the big old douchebag of the whole gang. And I will say his character went a little too far sometimes, to the point where he wasn't even that interesting like of a character. He was just like, oh great, this guy again. Awesome. Although I will say in one of the final action sequences, we do get some good kind of comeuppance with his character, which is much needed. I don't think it justified all of the horrible stuff that we were put through with his character up until that point, but it was at least good. Didn't particularly care for him. Everyone else was great though. It was good. There were, I don't know if I want to go into that just yet. Some of the cameos, we'll talk about some of that. I mean, some of it was revealed in other trailers and whatnot, so it's not a huge thing. But you know what? I'll save it for the spoiler section, which we might move into really quickly, because there's not a whole lot else that I can say other than I liked this movie. I didn't love this movie. That might change if I see it again. I don't know. I thought it, as I keep saying, it was fine. It was very Marvel formulaic. And at this point, Marvel really knows what they're doing. They know how to just make a safe movie and get it out there. And as I kind of said earlier, that might be what the Spider-Man franchise needs right now, is a very safe movie to say, here's the character. We're just gonna not take any chances. We're just gonna do this, and then maybe if we build up enough trust, we can try and make another Spider-Man movie in the future. Which I think they have like so many different Spider-Man sequels lined up. That we'll maybe take some chances there. But the very first one, you gotta trust us. You know what they say: with great power comes great responsibility. That was cheesy, but I think that kind of fits. And just a couple last things. If you guys are watching and you haven't seen the movie and you're going to leave when I get into the spoiler section, let me know if you have any questions right now so we can just briefly touch on that before we move into spoilers so that I can at least get some context, get some answers, some questions that you guys think. So some of you guys are asking about Aunt May. Aunt May was not super present in this movie, not as present as I thought she would be, I guess. But the scenes she is in and the interactions she has with Peter, it's just a chemistry thing. They have this great relationship. They larb each other. See, that's a reference from the movie. Go watch it. It's good stuff. Yeah, you larb this movie. That's good. The theater I was watching it at, as Alamo Drafthouse, they have food that is themed towards the movie. So one of the things they had was larb. And I had never heard of it before, but I was like, I don't know what larb is, but I'm going to try it. And I guess it's themed around this movie, so let's eat it. And so I was eating larb while they were eating larb. It was a good time. Also, larb is pretty good. I'm a fan. Yeah, Marissa Tomei, so good. Aunt May just keeps getting younger and younger in these films. But you know what? I'm not complaining. Sonic Minor, we'll talk about that in a bit. That's a bit of a spoiler, so we'll move into that. But yeah, holy cow. What is larb? You know what? It's like a minced chicken sort of a thing, but it's real tasty. It's really, really, really good. Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. Yankee East. The only thing that bothered me is where was the spider sense. It's not really a spoiler plot wise. It's just kind of I don't know. You'll interpret it how you will. If you think I'm leading into spoilers, then you can go away. But it's more just like in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, they kind of hinted at like a spider sense sort of thing. Even Raimi did some spider sense stuff where like time slowed down and then he kind of, the Mark Webb Spider-Man movies had him like, they did this Amazing Spider-Man 2 for all of its flaws, did a really cool kind of spider sense thing where kind of we followed the camera to see like where his mind was thinking and how he was going to save all these different people from doing these different things. And I was like, that's a really, really cool use of the spider sense. And in this movie, yeah, they just didn't touch on it at all. They didn't touch on the spider sense. So I don't know why. He definitely has to have a spider sense to do the things that he does. But there was no effect to display how it would perform. So who knows? But yeah, those were some of the best scenes. Like I said, for all of that movie's flaws, all of Amazing Spider-Man 2's flaws, the way that they used kind of this action breakdown spider sense stuff was pretty cool. Another $5 super chat from Getting Artsy with a Lobster. Thank you so much. Everyone show some clapping emoji or whatever. Actually, spider. Look up spider emojis down there. Give a lot of webs and spiders and whatnot to Getting Artsy with a Lobster. Really do appreciate it. They ask, or they say, I like how they tried to granny her up with all the very high-waisted pants and glasses. They said spider sense was too relied on to use. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if I wholeheartedly agree, but at least we kind of have an answer there. Awesome. Look at all those spider emojis down there. God, you guys are awesome. People just typing spider. I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it. Yeah, they really, really tried to make Marissa Tomei look older, but near impossible. She looked great in this entire film. It was awesome. And then, we just broke 500 viewers. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been awesome. You give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself spider emojis and webs and whatnot. You guys are super cool. I think that's the most we've ever had watching at once. So awesome. I jinxed it for sure, but either way, can I summon an army of Spider-Man? I apparently can. I know we just crossed 500 and we're going to lose a lot of you guys right now, but I think we might have to move into spoiler territory to talk about the rest of my review. So, fair warning, we're going to move over to spoilers right now. We're going to give everyone a little bit of time to clear out. Thank you so much for 500 consecutive viewers. That's awesome. I hope we can continue to break these milestones and whatnot as we continue forward. But let's talk about the spoiler stuff. Oh, the Lego thing. Ooh, I should have said this before. People left. The Lego thing will happen near the end. We'll go back to no spoilers. Come back in like maybe 20, 30 minutes or so, and we'll talk about the Lego stuff. Or also, if you're still here, there's a link in the description already, but I'll go into more details about what all this means. And we'll also look at all the stuff that Lego sent me. In case you guys weren't here, we have a Lego giveaway happening. Lego sent an enormous box of Spider-Man Homecoming Legos. It's probably better if I do it over here. This is just one of them. We got a box of them over here. So stick around for some of that. It's a good time. All right. Bye, everyone who is leaving. But let's get into spoilers. All right. So the number one thing I want to talk about is I did not at all see the twist with Vulture coming. Oh, man. That was a stunning surprise. I almost said shocking surprise. We'll talk about shocker in a bit. But holy cow, I want to know in the chat right now, did anyone see that coming? I mean, maybe you guys, if you read it online or something like that or whatever, the person I saw it with said that they were, read an article, so they kind of saw it coming. But no, I didn't see it coming at all. That was crazy. Andrew, can editors win Legos? No, they cannot. But also, how have I not made you a mod? I'm pretty sure I keep making you a mod. Well, you're a mod now. Holy cow, we got a $10 super chat from James Benson. Thank you so much. Let's give James Benson some spiderweb emojis, some thwip action going on. Holy cow. All right, so yeah, the spoilers, or the twist, you guys didn't see it coming. Me neither. That was super duper cool. So there was an article that said Vulture was Michelle's dad. That's what my friend told me that I saw the movie with. He was like, I read an article that it was Michelle's dad, but maybe it was a fake article or just a rumor that got it wrong. Who knows? That was really cool. My mind was in a completely different space at that point of the movie. We were going to the homecoming dance, right? We were building off of this momentum of his relationship. Was it Laura? Laura, was that her name? I can't remember names. I'm really bad at it. But yeah, that whole thing. And then boom, door opens. It's Michael Keaton. That caught me so off guard, and I loved it. And again, that's one of the movie's best strengths is, him, Michael Keaton, Vulture. And that twist was pretty cool. And a lot of, other Easter eggs that we'll talk about. Liz, that's right, Lord. I'm so dumb. Thanks, guys. Thanks for correcting me. Liz Allen. That's the one. I don't know why I can remember that. It's hot here. I'm making excuses. Thank you, guys. That's why we do these live, so that you can get some course correction right out of the gate. I appreciate it. Yeah, Liz. So, that was such a cool thing. And of course, we had other references. Shocker. The first Shocker, I should say, even had like the quilt kind of costume, which was, I was kind of disappointed nobody made a joke about. Maybe they did and I missed it, but I didn't hear anyone quip about it. But, he was quick to go. He straight up died, and then they got a second Shocker. A friend of mine had tweeted this too. About how they like the idea of the first Shocker dying was almost meant to be like this. See, Spider-Man movies have too many villains. We're gonna kill this one, but don't. They just immediately replace him with another one. But either way, I thought the use of villains in this movie was good. There were a lot of them. Again, there were a lot of them, but there weren't. They were used in a good way. Like Scorpion was there, but he wasn't Scorpion just quite yet. So obviously they're leading into something, which was the first post-credits scene. We got $20 from Casper Mucci. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you so much. Gotta give those web emojis in the chat. Heck yeah, for Casper Mucci. $20 super chat. You're awesome. And they say, I was hoping Kingpin was going to be in the jail. Yeah, totally. It looked like the jail from Daredevil season 2 a little bit. And I was really hoping that we would see even just a reference, even just like a hint, like even if they couldn't get him, if they could get, I don't know, just some sort of reference, like a name on a wall, or who knows. That was cool. When the Art Vader, it was cool when the light on Vulture's face changed when he realized that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Yeah, that the color of this movie was really well done. You know, obviously you have the red and the green as opposites on the color wheel for like, you know, Spider-Man's big, you know, bright red suit and Vulture's, you know, green eyes and the green lighting that hits him when he's driving to the dance. God, that was such a fantastic use of color in this movie, for sure. There was more than one post-credits. Yeah, well, they had a mid-credits and then a post-credits. The mid-credits was, so spoilers, obviously, we have it on screen. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, goes and faces Vulture. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit. But he ends up saving him. Vulture doesn't die, which is great because he's a great character. I wouldn't want him to die. I hope we can save him for a future movie of some kind. And then we see Vulture in jail with Scorpion, who we saw earlier, and he got hit with a car on like the ferry scene. So he's there kind of talking about like, you know, word on the street is, you know who Spider-Man is, and I have friends or whatever. You know, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, because I've only seen it once and I was tired. But Vulture kind of says like, oh, you know what? No, I don't know who Spider-Man is. So, you know, go tell your friends. I don't know anything. It's like kind of almost repaying him for Spider-Man saving his life at the end of the movie. He could have had him, you know, leave him to die. And this is what's the great part of Spider-Man is they delivered this like with great power comes great responsibility line without even saying the line with great power comes great responsibility. That end scene where he's fighting Vulture, where Vulture is about to take off with all the arc reactors, but the arc reactors are going to explode. He could have just left Vulture to die. He could have just said, well, you know what? Not my problem. If he wants to be greedy and fly off with an exploding thing that's going to kill him, that's fine. You know what? That's better for me. But instead, you know, he says, no, I have the power to save him, so I got to go save him. And he does, and it actually pays off handsomely in the end. Not just because he saves, you know, obviously Liz's dad, but because, you know, Vulture comes back and is like, you know what? I kind of have a little bit of respect for Spider-Man, so never mind. We good. Yeah, if I knew who he was, he'd be dead already. Yeah, totally. God. Talk about Aaron Davis. Yes, we have to. Another fantastic reference. So obviously we know that Donald Glover was in this movie. And you know, he's the one who was trying to you know, for years ago, get Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man, I think it was before Andrew Garfield, who was trying to, you know, campaign for the next Spider-Man to be black. And, this may have been before Miles Morales. My timeline's a bit off. But then, of course, Miles Morales came out as Ultimate Spider-Man. He voiced Miles Morales in a movie, in an animated movie, at least an animated movie. He might have been a video game. Don't quote me on that. I would just assume that he did. Miles Morales. And then, and then in the end, well, not in the end, it was revealed that, you know, his character is the uncle of Miles Morales, which was, but again, they didn't even say Miles Morales. There's a lot of really cool Easter egg things in here where they don't even, like, they hint at things without being on the nose about it. Like, his character just says, like, you know, I got a nephew who lives around here. Right? And so that in our minds, in the audience's mind, if you're familiar with his character, then you would know, like, I get it. He's talking about Miles. In canon, Miles exists. Love it. We have a $20? No, $5. $5 super chat from Maint Music, who says, how is the overall pacing? First of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Oh my God. Very briefly, Garl Moore. Absolutely. He delivers one of the best lines in the movie. Donald Glover's character delivers one of the best lines in the movie. Spider-Man webs his hand to the trunk of a car, and he's like, that'll dissolve in about 2 hours or so. And he's like, but I have ice cream in the trunk. That was I feel like that might have been improv, and it was, God, the comedy here is good. Anyway, Main Music says, how was the overall pacing? Did any villains get set up for sequels? Do you think Vulture will appear in an Avengers film? I don't think Vulture's going to appear in an Avengers film. I do think that he'll show up again in another Spider-Man film. The fact that he's kind of built this weird kind of relationship with Peter, it felt very Green Goblin without it being Green Goblin, you know? It felt like they had, you know, like the father of a friend turns out to be a villain, and then they kind of have this, you know, they're aware of each other's identity, and they kind of have this relationship where, like, yeah, I'm going to be the one who wants to take him down, but I don't really want to help other people take him down. Like, that's my thing. And it was very, you know, Green Goblin without it being Green Goblin. Any villains getting set up for the sequel? Totally. We have Scorpion, of course. He's probably going to make an appearance in another one. And there's hints at a Sinister Six, which could potentially pop up for sure. Yeah. So it's just a ton of cool stuff being potentially set up. People are saying Doc Ock was in one of the crates or something like that. There's a lot of Easter eggs that I totally didn't miss, or that I totally did miss for sure, that I didn't catch. But yeah, I feel like that would be, I wouldn't count any of Spider-Man's classic villains out, except I probably will say there might not be a goblin. There might be a goblin. Who knows? I would say, if I had to guess, they're probably going to stay away from goblins for a while, which is, you know, good on them. But yeah. The scene where Peter was under the rubble. We got to talk about this. It's a classic Spider-Man moment. One of the best. I think it might be voted, you know, on the internet constantly. There are these polls and articles. It's definitely one of the most iconic, one of the best Spider-Man stories. Where it's that iconic scene where he's trapped under all like the iron, like the girders and the rubble and everything like that, and like the water's pouring on him. It's such a fantastic comic book, and they replicated that in a sense, or they paid homage to it, I guess, in this movie. In one of the most emotional parts of this movie, like it didn't make me sad so much. It's not really sad emotion. It's more just like his screaming in pain, I like felt that. Like that's just him as an actor again. Because again, my strengths with this movie is it's just the acting and the casting is fantastic. And Tom Holland really nailed that emotion. I felt like for one of the first times in a Marvel movie, I felt like the hero was actually in danger. You know, I have this, you know, suspension of disbelief. It's like, well, Iron Man's going to get out of it. He's Iron Man. Captain America's Captain America. What are you talking about? Of course he's fine. But then we have Tom Holland just like screaming in agony under all this rubble, like just wanting people to help, like just wanting someone to show up and help him. God, that was fantastic. You guys felt it too? Oh man. Well, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. So excited with the $2 super chat. I'm behind on these. I apologize, but thank you to everyone who's been doing the super chat. It's been rad for sure. So excited with the $2. Says, why did you think it was cookie cutter? The reason I think it was cookie cutter is because it's just it feels like a very Marvel movie. And in the sense of they didn't really. So take Ant-Man, for example. Ant-Man was in my opinion, a very different Marvel movie for the first 2/3 of it. Once it got into the final act, when it turned into a superhero action movie, then I was like, all right, we're back into Marvel territory. But the first two parts where it was like heist film with, you know, technology that helps you, you know, be small, and some comedy thrown in. It's like a comedy heist film. I was like, that's different. That's a different thing that Marvel hasn't done to that point. And then once they got into Yellow Jacket and the fight scene, I was like, all right, we're back to cookie cutter Marvel. This Spider-Man movie felt a lot like just generic superhero to me, which again, I'm not saying is the wrong route to go. I think it was the smartest route to go because of all the other Spider-Man movies that we've had that have kind of fallen short. So they wanted to play it safe. It felt very safe to me. Guardians is another example of I wouldn't even classify Guardians as a superhero movie. It feels just like a comedy sci-fi movie franchise. And that kind of stuff is very different from the rest of the Marvel movies. A reason I love Winter Soldier so much is because it doesn't feel like a superhero movie to me. It feels like a spy action thriller that just so happens to have superheroes in it. Spider-Man, from the get-go, from the very beginning, is just superhero through and through. And maybe that's not a bad thing, right? But it's just kind of how I feel about it. Another big... I should have mentioned this in the non-spoiler part, but... Another thing that I didn't like particularly about this movie is how reliant it is on knowing past movies. You at least have to have watched the first Avengers movie to kind of understand where all this new technology was coming from that Vulture was, taking stuff from. And, there's a lot of references to the Chitauri attack. You at least have to watch that, I feel. I also think... watching Captain America Civil War because of the opening sequence where all of that happens and all the references to it and how Spider-Man and Stark know each other. I feel like that is also kind of important. So it feels like, to me, there are parts of the movie that if I were judging it as a standalone movie, I would say it's very weak in that area where you kind of have to have watched other stuff. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. If any of you guys are here and in the chat right now and you have not seen any other Marvel Cinematic Universe movie and this is your very first one, I would love to know your thoughts about how this stands alone as a solo movie without having watched anything else. I don't know if there are any of you guys in there in the chat right now, but I would love to kind of pick that apart. Damage Control, again, a really great reference from the very beginning of the movie. That's where Adrian Toomes works or worked, I guess, before he became a criminal, which I really did think I liked that he wasn't just Vulture in like just by name, like, oh, Vulture sounds like an evil sounding name, but like the fact that he was acting as an actual Vulture, like going to these battle scenes, picking up the scraps and then using them to build and sell technology, again, really cool kind of thematic thing. It made it fit. They, So Excited says they addressed both of those things at the beginning. In terms of, they addressed them at the beginning. They didn't address they showed the Battle of New York, right? They showed the aftermath of the Battle of New York. They didn't really talk about what had just happened. So if you're thrown into this universe with this being your very first movie and you're like, what is this giant monster that's like laying down in the street here? What am I supposed to, my suspension of disbelief is supposed to kick in immediately? Like, what is happening here? I feel like that could have, again, to all of us who had already seen the movie or had already seen previous movies would be like, oh, that's no big deal. I get that. But to somebody who that might be their first Marvel movie, I could see that potentially being a little bit, trickier. The timeline. Yeah, the timeline, again, it starts with, it goes like, it starts 8 years in the past with the Avengers and then it moves it was 8 years, I think, something like that. So, but yeah. A couple other people. So the character of MJ, that's a big one. The character of MJ was revealed at the end of the movie, to be Michelle, which was kind of hinted at and rumored about on the internet for months leading up to the movie. So it wasn't a big surprise. If you're wondering what my opinion is on it, I think it's fine. I don't have any, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's, again, I don't think it's like a, whoa, risky move, Marvel. I think it's just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. That's this version's MJ. Not Mary Jane, as people are trying to make a distinction between like, well, she might be MJ, but she's not Mary Jane. I feel like she's meant to be. But either way, I think it's fine. And I'm excited to see where that goes. Yeah, see, we already have people in the chat like, it's not Mary Jane. Yeah, but it's MJ, and I feel like that's the version they're going for. I'm not upset about it. There are a lot of people who are very upset about it. I think it's great, honestly. I think she was a really fun and interesting character to watch, and again, the chemistry that she has with everybody, all her other classmates and everything. I think if they flesh out her character more, it's great stuff. Pepper is back at the very end of the movie, which was kind of a surprise, but she was fantastic in the very short amount of time that we got to see her in. Her and Tony's chemistry and relationship still flawless after all these years. My opinion on Ned watching porn. I haven't talked too much about Ned. Ned was a great character. He got kind of annoying in the beginning of the movie, but as it progressed, I was like, you know what? I kind of like this guy. I kind of dig this guy. And yeah, there's a really great moment where he's trying to be the guy in the chair, the tech guy behind Spider-Man, and help him out at the end of the movie, which is when, again, as I mentioned earlier, the comeuppance with Flash, Spider-Man totally destroys Flash's car in somewhat of an homage when he got the Spider-Mobile, and he referenced how, he doesn't even have his license or permit or anything, and here he is driving around and just like destroying stuff, which was great. But Ned is being this guy in the he's being the guy in the chair is what the phrase was, and a teacher walks in because he's doing this at school during the dance. It was like in a computer lab all by himself. A teacher walks in and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Watching porn." And big laughs from the audience. It's good stuff. The Iron Spider, yes, very kind of brief thing at the end there. It looked interesting. I'm really glad they decided not to go with it. I like the costume that he has now. I think I need more time to see him in this costume. His old homemade costume also looks really cool too. We saw briefly bits and pieces of it in Civil War, but in this movie we got to see it up close and personal, and I actually really like it. It does, out of all the other costumes we've gotten, it looks very homemade, and I really like that a lot. Yeah, the Iron Spider looked a little much. I'm just glad that we didn't end with it. But we did end with Peter putting on that old costume of his, not the homemade one, but the one here, the one in this image here, standing in front of a mirror, only to see the camera pan around to Aunt May, who says, "What the?" And then movie cuts off right there. So good. That was great. And then, of course, we talked about the mid-credits scene, the post-credits scene. So throughout the movie, this was some of my favorite stuff. I love when Marvel can get small cameos from their other big actors to just add texture to the universe. And I really enjoy Captain America's cameos throughout the whole film in these student kind of school films or whatever, where he's like, you're in detention. You got to follow the rules. That stuff was hilarious. All of that was amazing. And then the very end credits, the post-credits scene, is another one of those moments where Captain America comes up and he just talks about the virtues of patience, of having patience, even when at the end of the day, it might not seem like it was worth it. It could all be for nothing. And he just kind of stands there and just has a very kind of meta moment talking about Marvel post-credit scenes. It's beautiful. So good. They were absolutely trolling us, and it was amazing. I love it so much. So kind of in summation, if we had a lot of people going in and out of this stream right now. We're still over 500 people watching, which is awesome. Super cool. But just in kind of in summation, again, I didn't hate this movie as much as I haven't checked out what the dislike ratio on this video is now. Hopefully I've won some people over with my mindset. I didn't hate this movie. I liked this movie. I enjoyed this movie. I didn't love this movie. That's kind of what I'm getting at. There's a lot of people, a lot of my friends walked away saying that that it might be their favorite MCU movie, that it's 100% the best, it might even be the best movie of the year, it's the best Spider-Man movie, whatever. I walked away going, it's a good movie. It's a fine movie. You know what? Sure. I didn't walk away going, oh man, best thing ever, which is nothing wrong. I mean, obviously everyone's entitled to their own opinion. If you walked away with that, awesome. Great. I'm so glad that you enjoyed a movie, especially in an atmosphere where, there's a lot of people that like to hate on stuff. I'm not trying to hate on stuff. I just want to show people there's a nice little middle ground here where I can really like it, but not love it. So Dennis is not going to mod? Well, I appreciate it. What is my favorite MCU movie? I still like Winter Soldier the most. Again, for the reasons that I kind of mentioned earlier about how it doesn't really feel like a superhero movie. It feels like a spy thriller that just so happens to have superheroes in it. That's awesome. God, I love that movie so much. I could watch that movie every day of the week. It's so good. Let's do a retroactive Captain America Winter Soldier movie. Pearl 555 $10 super chat. Thank you so much for sliding in under the wire. Right as we're probably about to wrap up. Oh, we're not going to wrap up just yet. We're going to talk about the Lego stuff. But Pearl, thank you so much for the super chats. Everyone give some thwipping web emojis, web and spider emojis. Nicholas is already on it. Good job. Keep up the good work. I absolutely love this movie and this channel. Fantastic. Thank you so much for the kind words, and I'm very glad that you enjoyed this movie. Yeah. Will there be more Spidey gadgets, you think? I think so. I do think so. I mean, he kept the old suit, right? So maybe we haven't even seen that suit's full potential just yet, so we'll see. We haven't talked about Karen. Karen was great. Anyway, you know if you've seen it. Good stuff. $2 from Danny Rigg. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it. More spiders, emojis and whatnot. Everyone's already on top of it. Every time they see a super chat, they get to work, and I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Let's talk about the Lego stuff. So if you missed it earlier, Lego sent me some awesome Spider-Man Homecoming. Let me just dive into here. And I wish I could show you the entire box. Let's cut this out of here. We're done talking about movie reviews, but we are still talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. Whoop, let's line it up. Lego stuff. My microphone is so far away from my face now. There it is. Something like that. Look at these things. We'll talk about each of these individually. So they sent me, this is the ATM heist from the beginning of the movie. That's really cool. And there is a one with Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Vulture. Now we are going to be doing a giveaway. They sent me these two, but they sent me doubles because I'm going to give some away to you guys, to one of you lucky viewers right here. They also sent a bunch of other stuff, which hopefully I can... Oh, I broke things. They sent me this really awesome notebook that I build Legos on. I just want to show this stuff off because it was super generous and super nice of them to send stuff. Especially because they're Lego. They don't need me shouting them out. They're just awesome already. They sent me this really cool backpack as well with a nice little Lego logo on it. The box that it came in, check this out. Oh my God, it's huge. I opened my door to this giant Spider-Man head. So huge shout outs to Lego for being awesome. There's a link in the description down below where you can click and submit some entries to win these two sets of Lego right here. The Car Chase one, it's called Beware the Vulture. That's really awesome. And then the ATM one. I would like to get your guys' opinions. If we were, all of you guys who are still here, if we were to continue doing giveaways on these live streams, not just Lego, other stuff potentially in the future. This one is Lego, and I think that's a really great way to start it off because it's a fantastic company, and especially for Lego Spider-Man as well. So would you guys be interested in some more giveaways on these live streams every week? Some more cool, nerdy stuff. Potentially for you guys to win. There's a link, again, like I said, in the description down below. You can also, if you wanted to, go to http:/this link right here. It is case sensitive. I want to note about that. It is lowercase ns and then capital Lego. NS for NerdSync, capital Lego. That's the link you can go to if you want to check out some more. If you don't want to click the link in the description because it's a bit long, you can type that in manually if you wanted to. That is how you do it. Fancy Teeth with the $2 super chat. Thank you, Dennis, for posting that. Is there a way I can pin that or do something with that? I'm curious. No, there's not. But Dennis posted it. He's a mod. Good job, man. Appreciate it. Fake Nerd Scout posted it. Fancy Teeth, can I call you Scooter? You can. I'm not opposed to you calling me Scooter. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I would love to know. We're losing viewers, probably because my review is over, but that's fine. I'm so happy that we were able to get a bunch of people watching in on this thing. You're just here for NerdSync and its personality. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I'm really glad we had a bunch of people join in. I would love to know your thoughts after this live stream is over. Unfortunately, it doesn't save the chat, so this is going to get reposted in a little bit. After it's done processing and everything like that, it's going to be reposted as just its own standalone video. Let me know in the comments down there what you thought about Spider-Man Homecoming. What did I get completely disastrously wrong? I mean, especially when that chat opens up, when the comment section opens up, you'll be able to write more than, I think it's 200 characters or something in the chat right now. You'll be able to write a book about how wrong I am, or maybe potentially if you see some things that you think I got right, definitely talk about stuff that I missed. But yeah, I'd love to know all of your guys' thoughts in the comments as soon as that goes live. But I love hanging out with you guys. I love doing these live streams. You know that I do. Let me know if you have any questions about the Lego giveaway stuff, and especially right now, if you are confused about it. But yeah, it was a fine movie. Yeah, you know what? I agree. Yeah, and also let us know what prizes you'd like in the future. The lighting right now, I apologize. My window blinds are open, and there's a reflection off of a car hitting me right in the face. And I think that is just about my cue to probably head out of here. Thank you so much. Dennis is going to continue to post the link. It's also in the description down below. It's the very first link in the description. So with that said, I'm just rambling at this point. Thanks, guys, so much for helping out. Let's give a last big shout out to all of the people who participated in Super Chat, including Getting Artsy with a Lobster, James Benson, Casper Mucci, Maint Music, So Excited, Pearl555, Danny Rigg, and Fancy Teeth. All of you guys, all of you wonderful nerds, are super awesome for supporting what we do, for supporting these live streams, and even just... trying to get your voice, your question out there in front of me, just because you want to hear what I have to say. I feel like some of these were to say, Scott, you're wrong, but I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And you know what? Good on you. I appreciate that. With that said, let's see how many spider webs and spider emojis we can throw in the chat before I end it. I'm going to do the really, really awkward thing, where I stare at the camera for a little bit as the live stream cuts off. But thank you so much for watching. My name is Scott. Please subscribe to our channel if you just found us through the live stream right now. And we do nerdy videos every single week that explore... Oh, man, what do I say at the end of the videos? We just remind you to read between the panels and grow smarter through comics. We have a standalone Spider-Man video coming up in a couple days. So with that said, I will see you guys... You will see you wonderful nerds in the next one. Bye-bye.